And a very good evening to everybody. This is Impact Showdown Radio. You know who this is. This is, as always, the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders, coming at you live right now on Blog Talk Radio and at our sister website at infinityOneProductions.com. We're also heard live on Stitcher. If you haven't grabbed that Stitcher app, make sure that you grab it when you get a free chance, so you'll be able to check out our show on there as well. We got a very active chat room that is loaded up right now. Feel free to jump on in there and participate with others who will be discussing tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling, TNA Wrestling related news. Remember, you can always call into the show as well, as we'll be opening up the phone lines in the later part of the show. Get that head start right now. Give us a call, 646-478-3525. Once again, that's 646-478-3525. Of course, during tonight's episode, you can also interact with us on Twitter. Just hit us up at Infinity1Prod. You also take time out to hit us up on Facebook. We're on Facebook as well. Like our page, befriend us while you're there at infinityOneProductions.com. Well, we were on a little bit of a 48-hour break there. We just saw another installment of TNA Open Fight Night, where I must admit there was definitely some good wrestling matches that we saw tonight, but I had a little bit of a bone to pick with certain angles that had transpired on the course of tonight's show. I definitely had a problem with key people that were not wrestling tonight, although it would kind of make a little sense why some of these people did not wrestle. We're definitely going to be tackling all this in case you had the unfortunate displeasure of missing tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling. Of course, the main highlight for tonight's show was Aces and Eights coming out to accept Sting's challenge, as last week Sting put out the challenge to Aces and Eights to meet him as well as other members on the TNA roster in the middle of the ring, basically fight mano a mano. Well, at the top of the hour, we would see Sting come out, and he was joined by a ton of people, as he was joined by Big Robbie, Little Robbie, Jeff Hardy, Robert Roode, Austin Aries, Kurt Angle, Bully Ray, Mr. Anderson, Gunnar, AJ Styles. They're all in the ring, and we see vignettes, still images of everybody that has been attacked by those damn Aces and Eights over the course of several weeks, as afterwards Sting invites James Storm to come down to the ring, as he felt that based on the actions of Aces and Eights last week when they had attacked the Cowboy, he definitely was exonerated from having any type of affiliation with Aces and Eights. And we would see James Storm come out, and he would look at Sting and the other men in the ring, and he would say, hey, I know it looked really bad, guys. I know it really looked as if I probably had some type of a connection with Aces and Eights. I can understand the evidence, but like I've been saying all along, guys, I haven't had anything to do with them. And he would also point out to Sting that tonight shouldn't just be a wrestling show. Tonight's show should be an ass-whipping show. And Sting acknowledges that as he hears the fans' reactions, as the fans, they want Hulk Hogan. Definitely wild, active crowd tonight. I was very pleased with this crowd that was in attendance. We had a lot of wrestling fans that were definitely representing as they were pushing their yellow and red Hulkamania T-shirts. They definitely were running wild in that Impact arena. And Sting would also acknowledge that and the cheering for Hulk Hogan, as he would say, yes, the Hulkster is here tonight. He is in the building, which just had the fans just in euphoria. Well, from there, folks, we would see two members of Aces and Eights come down to the ring. They're throwing up a timeout hand gesture as Sting tells them, go ahead, let those guys into the ring. These guys, they come into the ring looks like they're about to pull out something from their back pocket when Kurt Angle, Gunnar, I believe it was, they just start going to work on these guys as all hell just breaks loose. I mean, they just give these two guys a serious beatdown. As from there, we see one of the guys he has his mask removed, and his mouth is bleeding, and he basically reveals that the night is just getting started, that they are in for one hell of a night, and that he thanked them for basically helping him get his patch. Now, I am not affiliated with any type of motorcycle gang, but based on the words of what this guy pretty much said, it sounds as if he had to do something to officially be recruited to the Aces and Eights. It sounds like he had to do some type of a initiation, and it looks as if this beatdown that he would take at the hands of Sting and the other guys that were in that ring, that was part of his initiation. So I'm taking what he said there as, thanks for helping me get my patch. I'm taking it as that's what it means right there. So don't be too surprised if you see this same guy show up next week showing off some type of a patch on his jacket or something like that. That's usually how it works. And you're just left there saying to yourself, wow, okay, I'm definitely hooked. I like how Impact Wrestling came on tonight. It's definitely coming off a bit strong. Okay, I'm a little curious. What exactly is going to happen here? Well, throughout the course of the night, we would also see a few matches. We saw in our first match knockouts action as Tara had took on Miss Tessmacher. Nice little challenge right here as briefly Tessmacher had acknowledged the fans and told them that she was calling out Tara because she feels that she needs to be able to prove her legitimacy as a TNA Knockouts champion by beating a person who she feels is not only her best friend but has been a mentor to her all these months. And so she really wants to prove to herself that she definitely has what it takes to be at the very top of the Knockouts division. So we understand why she chose Tara for this match, but in a surprising twist, we would actually see Tara defeat Miss Tessmacher, which in a backstage pass shown on Twitter, YouTube, and ImpactWrestlingChat.com, we would see the lovely Miss Tessmacher talking with SoCal Val about the loss that she suffered at the hands of Tara, pointing out that at this point she's not really sure if she should be the Knockouts champion, and that obviously this loss significantly hurts her because now she's really questioning herself and her ability, and she feels at this point she can't really prove to be the very best. She can't claim to be the very best unless she's able to beat Tara, as to date, apparently Tara is someone whom she just has not been able to beat. So she promises that she's going to go home, she's going to rest up, she's going to retrain, she's going to try to think about some new moves that she might be able to put into her repertoire, and hopefully somewhere down the road she can lock up with Tara again and be able to get the victory. It was a really nice backstage pass right there. Highly recommend that you guys check it out if you're somehow able to see some type of replay of that. But it was definitely some really good stuff right there. Second match of the evening, we saw a Bound for Glory series match as it was a triple threat match. That's right. Now, Sting, he set this up beautifully. Sting had talked with Robbie E., Big Robbie, RVD, AJ Styles, and he pretty much had shared with them the latest information on Pope D'Angelo De Niro, who unfortunately had suffered a very serious beatdown at the hands of Aces and Eights, right down to the point that his shoulder is dislocated. That's right. And that all happened at the TNA Hardcore Justice pay-per-view back on August 12th. Now, as a result of that, Pope D'Angelo De Niro, he is officially out of the Bound for Glory series. Didn't really have that much points to begin with, as he only had 7 points, but he's definitely out of commission for now. No ETA as far as when he's going to be coming back. So in the meantime, Sting, he makes the stakes very high for this match, as it's going to be a triple threat match where first submission move in this match, get 10 points. First pinfall, you get 7 points. So the stakes couldn't be any higher. But at the very last second, he would eliminate Big Robbie from this match. So it ends up being a triple threat match between AJ Styles, RVD, and Robbie E. And shockingly, Robbie E. picks up 7 points via pinfall. The little sneaky devil, the way he just did it was just brilliant. He took advantage of RVD after he did a 5-star frog splash to AJ Styles. And you know how RVD is after he does that 5-star frog splash. He always holds his abdominal area because he's just in so much severe pain. And we would see Robbie E., he just capitalized on RVD. He quickly got him in a roll-up pin, and you know that pain that RVD was feeling in those abs, he just was not able to kick out. So Robbie E. shockingly was able to pick up 7 points to just slightly move up the leaderboards. We'll definitely update you guys on the latest Bound for Glory leaderboard status, but the key thing you want to keep in mind as we go down the numbers, you'll want to pay attention to the first 4 names that I mentioned, because at this point, those are the names that you'll need to be paying attention to, as those guys will be going into the next pay-per-view, which will be No Surrender, as a new contender will be crowned to face Austin Aries for the TNA World Heavyweight title at the Bound for Glory pay-per-view coming up October 14th. From there, folks, our action continues now as we see a backstage segment as Jeff Hardy is getting ready to head out to the ring, possibly to call somebody. Who knows? Well, we would find out that Jeff Hardy was, in fact, coming to the Impact Arena to call out none other than Big Robbie, as he points out that this match, Bound for Glory Series points, are not up for grabs, that this match is purely personal, and personal it is, as we all have seen within recent weeks on Impact Wrestling. We have seen Jeff Hardy have a constant thorn in his sides to be known as Big Robbie and Little Robbie, as Big Robbie has just been playing a very serious hand and causing Jeff Hardy to lose key matches where he should be higher up in the Bound for Glory Series leaderboards right now. So Jeff Hardy is seeking a little bit of retribution in this match right here. This was purely a case of agility and speed versus brute force. And in the end, Jeff Hardy was able to defeat Big Robbie. Backstage segment we go now, where we see Kazarian and Daniels, who point out that AJ Styles hasn't answered all the questions, as they allude to the possibility that more is going to be revealed tonight on top of the paternity results. I'm kind of looking at this and I'm saying to myself, oh, Lord, what the heck are these guys cooking up now? And in a backstage pass, we would actually see Jeremy Borash talk with AJ Styles, which was another great piece right here, as AJ Styles, he is pretty much excited about knowing finally whether or not he is the father of Claire Lynch's baby, how he's just looking forward to hearing these results, and that hopefully he can be eliminated from all of this craziness that's just been happening within recent months. We also see in the backstage pass, SoCal Val is taking the time out to plug a direct auto insurance prize giveaway, as all you got to do is sign up for this sweepstakes that they're going to be having, and up for grabs, get this, you're going to be able to get the VIP treatment for the Bound for Glory series. That's right, you and a friend. Why would you want to go alone? I don't know, but you and a friend of your choice will be able to experience the whole Bound for Glory weekend, as you'll be able to fly out there, you'll be able to stay at a nice hotel, you'll be able to actually go to the Bound for Glory pay-per-view. You'll also be able to go to the official first TNA Wrestling Hall of Fame ceremony where Sting will be inducted. What more could you ask for right there? Freaking phenomenal right there. If you haven't entered those sweepstakes yet, get a head start. Tell all your friends about it, and good luck to you. Also now we go to a backstage segment where we see Sting is teasing the aces and eights to come and find him. It was just one of many slap comedy moments, I thought, as we just see a crazy Sting just bouncing around. He was really kind of reminding me like the Riddler from Batman Forever, the way he was acting tonight. It was just a little bit silly. As from there, folks, finally we get a recap of AJ Styles' Claire Lynch saga that has been going on for weeks after weeks, where us poor TNA fans, we have just been continuing to be tortured week after week after week of horrific acting. And finally, it's judgment time. We're going to know what the real deal is, as we see Jeremy Borash is calling out AJ Styles, comes down to the ring, and AJ Styles, very classy words right here from the Phenomenal One, who points out that he's apologizing to his family, he apologizes to his friends, he apologizes to the wrestling fans for having to deal with this crap that's been happening in recent weeks, how that was only a smidget of actual truth, I feel, as we definitely want to touch up more on that in a little bit, folks. But we would hear AJ Styles sit up and say, hey, look, when it's all said and done, if it turns out I am the father of this baby, I will definitely do the right thing. I will be there for that child. I will man up. I will take responsibility. However, if it's revealed that this child is not mine, Kazarian Daniels, don't ever speak to me again. That just really sounded totally, girly. I would have had better words than that. I would have sat up and said, Kazarian Daniels, if it turns out this test proves me to be not the father, your asses are mine. I would have really went out there like that. But we would see Kazarian and Daniels come out, and they would tag team briefly on the Phenomenal One, as they would pull the bad father card, pointing out that it's because of men like him that is having these fatherless children running around and eventually ending up committing crimes, landing in prison, when all of this can be avoided with fatherly love. Really, it was, don't get me wrong, it was decent. But they would also point out how Claire Lynch, surprisingly now, is not in the Impact Arena because they did not want her to have to deal with the continued pain and stress that AJ has been causing her within recent weeks, as they reveal that Claire Lynch is in a hospital right now because she's having stress-related problems that's dealing with the baby. Apparently there's been some type of weird complications. They just want to keep her in the hospital, make sure that her and the baby are fine, what have you. Well, in an interesting twist, we would see this blonde-haired older lady come out with glasses, and she would be revealed to be Claire Lynch's attorney, who had a statement to read to AJ Styles, as well as all the TNA wrestling fans, as this statement from Claire Lynch, in her own words, basically read that Kazarian and Daniels had approached her several months back and basically cooked up this scheme to set up AJ Styles, set him up in a point where he would be blackmailed and that his profession, his personal life would all just come under the radar. It would come under the microscope. It would be just severely tarnished. That was the name of the game. She would reveal that AJ Styles and her, they never had sex. That what ended up happening with AJ was that a Coca-Cola beverage, soda beverage that he had was spiked with basically a date rape drug, and that's how they were able to take those pictures of him in those uncompromising positions. And Claire Lynch would also point out that in another shocker, but not a shocker for us guys, that she is not, never was, pregnant. So we have Daniels and Kazarian. They are just really looking stupid right now. They can't believe what they're hearing. Come on, really, guys? You know exactly what's going on here. Stop with all the BS. And finally, we would hear Claire Lynch accept responsibility for everything that has happened within recent weeks, as she would sit up and say that she has done the right thing and got in contact with her local authorities, and she humbly apologized to AJ Styles and his family and can only beg for forgiveness going forward. Really great stuff right here. Nice reaction from the crowd. I believe the reaction from the crowd was just really, yes, 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 this storyline is over, yes. And from there, we would see AJ Styles just looking on at Daniels and Kazarian, who are just looking at each other like, what are we going to do now? And Daniels, he does a drop kick to Daniels. He also tries to attack Kazarian, but Kazarian rolls out of the ring in time, grabbing Daniels. So you know that eventually we're probably going to see these guys lock it up again at the next pay-per-view, more than likely. So very curious to see how this is going to play out, if maybe it's going to be a 2-on-1 or if maybe it's going to be a 2-on-2 tag match. Hopefully that's the latter part is how it'll end up being within the upcoming weeks. But very glad that this storyline has wrapped up. Now, we have the truth on what really happened with the woman portraying Claire Lynch. Now, I've been taking the liberty of writing a report on this, and I actually was going to post it on our website today over at InfinityOneProductions.com, but I wanted to see how tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling was going to play out so that I could have a little bit more substance as I was writing the piece. So I held it off. I'm probably going to be uploading it, if not in the wee hours tonight, I'll definitely be uploading it Friday, sometime Friday night. So you all definitely want to be on the lookout for that. I definitely give some interesting things to say, but I'm not going to leave you guys hanging tonight, as this is Impact Showdown Radio. We talk all about TNA each and every single Thursday night. I'm definitely going to share with you guys the full 1-1 on what really happened with this Claire Lynch character, the woman behind the character, that is, and you're definitely going to love what I have to say with regards to this, and a message for TNA Wrestling, so you definitely want to check that out. Moving right along now with your latest installment of TNA Wrestling results, we see that a new TNA gut check contestant by the name of Chris Louie is shown, in his heartfelt story, definitely one that really pulls you in. You get involved with that person. You feel that connection. You're definitely sold when you hear about his tragic upbringings. Very tragic indeed, but you hear how he's just been able to somehow maintain sanity despite these hard times that he had growing up. And here he is. He has an opportunity to shine. Well, gotta admit, I really wasn't too pleased with what I had saw from Chris Louie. I wasn't really that impressed with what I saw of him in the ring. If there was ever a time I'd sit up and say, no, sorry, it definitely would be this case. I just don't feel he's quite fine-tuned just yet. He seems to me like he has a few more years to go, maybe about 3 more years, and maybe then he should try to see about coming back to TNA, try out for Gut Check again. But I really was not liking what I was seeing of him in the ring. I mean, here he was taking on Gunnar, and we all know how Gunnar is. Gunnar is not exactly one of those type of guys who, oh, wow, Gunnar, 5-star quality type of match. Gunnar is one of those type of guys, you know, he's nitty, he's gritty. I mean, he's just a straight-up brawler. You know, there's nothing really fancy about what he does in the ring when he gets in there. He is just one of those type of guys that just does whatever he needs to do. I would have to say Gunnar singles matches, this is just my personal rating. Other people may disagree, but I would say scale of 1 to 10, I would have Gunnar's wrestling ability, I would kind of give it about maybe a 6, maybe a 6.5. Nothing really too impressive, but I'm saying that for a reason. I'm seeing this Louie guy take on Gunnar, and Louie seemed to be a bit more stiff than Gunnar. And I'm like, okay, come on now. You're a little bit shorter than Gunnar. You're a little bit smaller, you know, weight-wise than Gunnar. You definitely should be having this. You should definitely be moving a bit quicker. He just seemed to be, I don't know, man. I'm not going to say he sucked. Definitely not sucked. He just needs more work. That's a pretty much in a nutshell of a good way of putting it. And, of course, we would see Gunnar bury this Louie guy. I keep wanting to call him Louie because I keep forgetting his first name. So I'm just going to call him Louie until his name really starts sinking into me. But we would see this guy lose, and I don't know. I mean, we're definitely going to be paying attention to what everybody's been saying about Louie over the course of the weekend, but I just really wasn't that impressed with what I had saw. Am I the only one that's also noticing the trend here of all of these TNA Gut Check contestants that continues to lose to the guys and gals on the TNA roster? Just once, it would be kind of nice to see somebody do an upset, so it's not always so predictable. Spice it up a little bit. Let's see some of these TNA wrestlers lose once in a while. I'm just saying, it would be kind of nice. You can still throw that element of surprise in there as, okay, well, this person beat so-and-so, they must be going to get a contract, right? Not necessarily. Just spice it up a little bit because everybody knows now, oh, okay, this TNA Gut Check, who they facing? Oh, okay. Well, actually, no, it doesn't matter who they're facing. They're going to lose either way. So they know that's a time right there where they can either go refill their drinks, go take out the trash, go walk the dog, mess with your iTunes library. You know what I'm saying? Just spice it up a little bit. Throw a little bit of variety in there so it's not always so predictable every single time around. Of course, we got to pick back up with the Aces and Eights as they are shown, and it looks like there's 3 of them that was walking around backstage during Gunnar and I believe it was during Gunnar and Louie's match, and we would see the numbers game catch up to them as we see Sting, who just approaches them from behind, and he is just being so freaking exaggerant as he's sitting up saying, hey guys, what games are we going to play next? Are we going to play maybe 52-card pickup? And Hulk Hogan is behind them as Sting throws a bat over their heads. Now, this is where I'm kind of sitting up and I'm saying, really? 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 You guys, from what I saw, appeared to have been a bit taller than Sting, and you could not throw your freaking arms up in the air and catch the bat. And it wasn't like Hogan was moving super fast. Hogan was just there. And then what was really insulting was we see Hulk Hogan take a swing with this bat to the guys. And I'm saying to myself, my God, this is one of the weakest freaking bat swings I've ever seen in freaking history. And I'm saying to myself, this definitely is not connecting because this guy has had numerous back surgeries, hip surgeries. Why is the bat even in his hand in the first place? Because this guy He just was not delivering. And we got to give a shout-out to our boy, Homie the Clown, on Twitter, because I think this guy said it best. I mean, he said, and I quote, "My 3-year-old cousin could swing that pipe better than Hogan." Actually, correction, he's talking about his 3-year-old kid, all right? That's even worse. His 3-year-old kid swings the pipe better than Hogan. I think anybody can swing a freaking pipe better than Hulk Hogan right here, but that wasn't the only bad thing that came out of this segment. I mean, we saw Hulk Hogan have a Titus O'Neil moment of as we see Hulk Hogan, he's just, and I'm saying to myself, what in the blue hell are you, man? Are you a Rockweiler or something? Well, what the hell's going on here? And we see Sting, who's trying to calm down Hogan, and he's like, "Ooh, Hogan, Hollywood, Hogan, you're back. Yes, it's showtime." And I'm saying to myself, wow, I couldn't wait for this segment to end because it was just too freaking hilarious. It was just unnecessary. Honestly, Hogan was not needed for this. I would have preferred, if they had to have Hogan involved in this, they should have had Hogan just maybe, you know what? Here's how I would have set this up. I got to put my writing cap on here. Let's pick it up where Sting tells them 52 card pickup drop or whatever the hell that line was he said to them. All right, I'm down with that, okay? But Hogan could have already had the bat in his hand, and he could have been off camera, and he could have just came behind the guys, and he could have just went low blow. You could have seen the bat in his hand. You could have seen the back of his head. You know that blonde hair in the back. You see the dude rag and everything, so you know it's him. You see him with the bat. We could have just seen a nice shot of him just going low blow and going for the back of those legs of those two Aces and Eights members, and they could have just dropped on the ground, and then we could have seen Sting. He could have sat up, and he could have pulled a bat from behind him or whatever, and then he could have just went to work on those guys. Then we could have had Hulk Hogan deliver the line, "If you ever look at my daughter again, I'm going to cut you up and feed you to the dogs." I got to admit, I understand that they were trying to sell something here, but there was so much silliness involved in this particular piece that you can't appreciate the fact that, oh, Hulk Hogan decided to grow out a black beard again. Hulk Hogan has one all black. Oh, Hulk Hogan is going back to his NWO days. It's Hollywood Hogan. Hey, it's the return of Hollywood Hogan, the badass guy. You're not even registering all this because all that's registering in your head is Hulk Hogan coming off like a dumbass with a ridiculous beard. I never understood this black beard. I mean, it just looks freaking stupid. You got bad enough you got all that damn hair in the back. You got nothing on the top going on, you know. Y'all know I'm bald, so, you know, I don't believe in leftovers. So, you know, get rid of the leftovers, go bald, join the cue ball team, Hogan. What you got against the cue ball team, brother? Ain't nothing wrong being a cue ball, but I'm getting sidetracked here. The point is, the whole black beard and that's just not selling it for me. So you put on a different pair of colors. That does not excite me. That doesn't get to me. This was definitely a segment that was way off the mark. I know what they were trying to bring home. Unfortunately, they did not pull it off as perfectly. It just seemed too stupid, especially with Sting grabbing on to Hulk Hogan's muscles, talking about some, ooh, ooh. And I'm kind of saying to myself, you know, if you just beat the crap out of somebody, the last thing you're going to be doing is touching on another guy's muscles and trying to give them props and all that. You're just going to be kind of like, yeah, we beat your asses, and there's more where that came from, right, Hogan? That's right, brother. And, you know, that could have been the end of it. So I appreciate what they were trying to do with Hollywood Hogan, but it should have been executed better. Not to mention, it doesn't exactly help that we see Hulk Hogan on TV, and, he's basically going, "Hey, brother, are you low on money? Is your credit card bad? Let me tell you, Hulkamaniac, something, brother. Let me tell you something, dude. All you got to do is go to Rent-A-Center, and we'll be able to hook you up with a good deal each and every single week, brother." I mean, really, it's kind of hard to appreciate the badass Hollywood Hogan from the WCW days when you got a Hulk Hogan doing Rent-A-Center commercials each and every single week. So, I didn't mean to go all off there like that, but I just had to keep it real. I mean, that's part of our motto, always keeping it real. And I got to be real. That segment was probably one of the crappiest segments of the night. Moving right along, though, we definitely would see a little bit of redemption from this, folks, as from here we had saw in a backstage pass, which was kind of funny here. We saw Jeremy Borash catch up with Chris Louie. I'm showing him some love. I remember his name now, but I still like Louie better. But he would catch up with Chris Louie fresh off of his match that he had with Gunnar, and I just felt so sorry for this kid because this kid was sitting up. He was spitting up blood. He could not talk worth a damn. I mean, this guy needed a glass of water bad. He needed to have a seat. And I understood exactly what Jeremy Borash was trying to do in this backstage pass because he was trying to get a reaction from Louie and talk about the match that he just had with Gunnar, talk about how exciting it must have been for him to be in the ring to finally get his opportunity to shine. He was trying to give him that moment to basically try to connect with the fans that were viewing Backstage Pass right then and there, but this kid was just so freaking out of breath. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, okay, I said to myself for the first few seconds, okay, is this a job? Are we being funny here? Is he just overselling it, or is he that damn tired? And this was definitely a case of him being that much fatigued. As Jeremy Borash eventually just told him to go around the corner, there was some water somewhere, and he could have a seat as there were some chairs over there. And so, unfortunately, Jeremy Borash, I give him props. He tries when weird stuff like this happens and he has to try to go solo. I give him props. He tried his damnedest to sell this kid's story, but it just would have been better had he been able to sell it himself. So very curious to see how what transpired in this backstage pass will definitely be acknowledged by the TNA gut check judges when they get ready to give their ruling next week on Impact Wrestling. Of course, in another backstage pass, here's what was really weird here. We see ODP, who has been missing for like a couple of weeks now. We hadn't seen her since 3 weeks ago. We saw her and Eric Young in a backstage skit, and every single time we see ODB, and this was the case tonight, she's always talking about where's her fried chicken and beer that Eric Young is supposed to be bringing her. Apparently, this has been long overdue now, as this fried chicken and beer was supposed to come on their honeymoon night. So, I'm sorry. If you've been waiting all this time for nothing but chicken and beer from Eric Young, your ass should be dead by now. I mean, quite honestly. And we would hear ODB on the cell phone sit up and tell Eric Young that all the fishing that he's doing on his new show, what he needs to be doing is fishing in her pool as she's grabbing her chest area, and she's basically telling him, you need to come take care of this. And we see ODB, she gets ready to walk off camera, and she flags the attention of some unknown guy asking how old he is, as we know what time it is. ODB got some wild oats that she needs to get out of her system. So, I was happy to see ODB return, but, it's one of these cases right now where, I'm ready to see these damn tag titles come up off of them, or at least just do the right thing and temporarily suspend the titles, and we could just go off of the fact that Eric Young is one half of the TNA Knockout champions, and that alone could be the reason why they're stripped of the titles. So why this is just continuing to drag on every single week, I don't know, because unfortunately we really don't have that many knockouts on the roster right now, so those belts can only go but to so many knockouts right now. So let's go on ahead and let's take those belts up off of them already, and let's see at least ODB come back to television and get back involved in the Knockouts division, as she's definitely missed. I mean, she's a pretty decent worker when she's in the ring there, especially when she's paired up with the right person. But, you know, I think I speak on behalf of a lot of guys out there when we sit up and we take a look at ODB's chest and just hearing that she is being neglected of her needs and wants. Oh, very heartbreaking, very heartbreaking. Of course, in our next Bound for Glory Series match, we saw Mr. Anderson call out none other than the Twitter machine himself, Big Bad Bully Ray. Nice matchup right here, as these two guys, they ended up, really, it was probably one of the best matches of the night. I was really liking this. The crowd, they were definitely into this match. I was loving it. Each time Anderson was striking Bully Ray and Bully Ray was striking back, it was just going, yay, boo, yay, boo, yay, boo, yay, boo. It was just a really nice, strong crowd tonight. It was one of those type of crowds that I definitely was acknowledging and saying to myself, man, this is the type of crowd that we need to have every single week for Impact, as, you know, unfortunately we got some of those crowds. You can tell when it's people that are just visiting as opposed to, okay, how many in the Impact Arena are actual wrestling fans. And this was definitely a night. I mean, you could see it from what everybody was wearing in the arena to just how they were chanting. You could definitely pick up the vibe that it was more of wrestling fans that were in attendance as opposed to just those casual folks that were just sitting up saying, oh, let's see what this is about. Oh, this sucks. Let's go. So really nice crowd reaction here, especially for this match. Probably one of two greatest pops of the night, I feel, as we would see actually Mr. Anderson defeat Bully Ray, as he was able to pick up 7 points via pinfall. Now, keep in mind, folks, that during this match, we would actually see a few members of those damn Aces and Eights try to come out to the arena, but they got jumped from Big Robbie and Kurt Angle. So those guys, they got taken out of commission there. And with that victory that Mr. Anderson picked up by picking up 7 points, that definitely moved him up. Not quite enough, though. We definitely got you caught up on the latest Bound for Glory Series leaderboard stats, and it goes as follows. This is brand new. We got James Storm leading the pack at 66 points. Samoa Joe is at 61 points. Rob Van Dam is at 55 points. AJ Styles is at 50 points. Kurt Angle is at 48 points. Bully Ray is tied. He has the same number of points. Jeff Hardy comes in. Mr. Anderson comes in with 47 points. That's followed up by Jeff Hardy with 42 points. Daniels comes in at 33 points. Magnus comes in at 28 points. Robbie E comes in at 12 points. Of course, we got to acknowledge Pope D'Angelo De Niro. Even though he is injured, he's out of the game. He does have 7 points. But the main names that I want you guys to pay attention to now is the first 4 names that I mentioned at the very beginning, because those guys right now are locked for the No Surrender pay-per-view. Now, there's only a couple of weeks left before that pay-per-view, so anything could happen. But I want you to pay attention to those first 4 names: James Storm, Samoa Joe, RVD, AJ Styles. Now, outside looking in, the guys that have an opportunity to slide in there is Kurt Angle, Bully Ray. So definitely you want to pay attention to those first 4 names, but just know that Kurt Angle, Bully Ray, those are your wild card guys right there. They can easily slide in. Anything weird can happen between now and the pay-per-view. So it should be interesting to see how this Bound for Glory series continues while paying attention to these names right here. Of course, now we saw a backstage segment where the main big guy of Aces and Eights, who's been doing all the talking within recent weeks, promises that all hell will be unleashed as they will be dealing the dead man's hand tonight. Well, at the very end of the night, we would see Sting come out with Kurt Angle, Jeff Hardy, Big Robbie, Little Robbie, Gunnar, Mr. Anderson, the television champion, Devon, RVD, Austin Aries. Now, Sting tells Aces and Eights that they, the victims, are ready and are not going to accept another no-show from Aces and Eights as they demand that they come out. Now, we see nothing happen for the first few seconds, but then after that, we saw at least 6 members of Aces and Eights come out, and just from there, all hell just starts breaking loose. We start seeing more and more members start to pop up, and just the fighting just everywhere. It's just breaking all out, just pure anarchy as we just see the action go to the backstage area where Hulk Hogan and a few others are, and they're fighting them. Meantime, we got Jeff Hardy, RVD, Austin Aries. They're in the middle of the ring. They pretty much have been instructed to hold the fort down while the action goes off into the back area. Everybody just seems to be doing their thing. It is just going back and forth between half the TNA roster and Aces and Eights. Well, that same big man that has been the mouthpiece for Aces and Eights, we would see him get in the ring, and he pretty much started attacking the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. And they were also able to derail Jeff Hardy, RVD. This big guy, he is a very big guy, too. He is tall, he is wide, he is big. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong here, but I got to go back and look at previous weeks of footage. If I'm not mistaken, this was probably maybe the second, maybe third time now that this big guy has popped up, and he's been playing quarterback. I mean, he's really hard to miss. He's got a massive frame, wide shoulders, huge guy. He comes in here, and he's playing quarterback, telling all the other members to go get the guard rail from over a fan section, the metal guard rail, and they bring it into the ring. They prop it up in a corner of a turnbuckle, and they set up Austin Aries' hand. And from there, I believe they grabbed some steel chairs, and they were able to just go to work on Austin Aries, as it's possible now that Austin Aries may have dislocated his hand as a result of the attack from the Aces and Eights, as we just see Austin Aries is just left in agony. So it really looks as if Aces and Eights' plan all along was to isolate the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Now, the only question remains, why did they isolate him, and who will benefit most from this? That's the question. And right now, we have no choice but to point to those possible 6 names for the Bound for Glory leaderboard status. Perhaps maybe one of those guys are in connection with Austin Aries. I mean, you never quite know. I mean, let's just back up a second and let's look at those guys that are in that Bound for Glory series. Now, we know James Storm is at the top of the list there, But, it's very possible that James Storm could have just taken that beatdown to basically throw everybody off that maybe he's associated with Aces and Eights. So that's one name right there. Samoa Joe. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Samoa Joe has yet to be attacked by the Aces and Eights. So there's another one right there. We already know RVD doesn't have anything to do with Aces and Eights. We also got AJ Styles. Last I checked, AJ Styles, he was attacked by Aces and Eights, so that eliminates him. Kurt Angle was attacked by Aces and Eights, so that eliminates him. We also got Bully Ray, who Aces and Eights, they've yet to attack. So there's some possible connections right there as to who would possibly benefit the most from a weakened TNA World Heavyweight Champion in Austin Aries. Overall, though, I would have to say that this week's episode of Impact Wrestling, I gotta admit, there was definitely some solid wrestling. I was very glad to see that the TNA the storyline with Claire Lynch, very glad that storyline has been wrapped up. I'm definitely going to touch more about Claire Lynch and that particular storyline in a little bit, as I feel TNA Wrestling, they had a true opportunity on their hands that they should have taken advantage of, but they didn't. I'm definitely going to speak more about that when we come back from commercial break. But solid matches tonight. Was very pleased. Didn't really appreciate the fact that we didn't see Austin Aries in action, but it made more sense when I looked back on tonight's episode, as Austin Aries, he was really just trying to represent, hold down the fort, make sure that he stand united with the other wrestlers and making sure that they were able to handle business with Aces and Eights. I can say the same thing for the television champion. As much as I wanted to see them in action, it was definitely understandable why they were not in action, especially with the way tonight's show had ended. But I would have to say, despite the slapstick comedy with Sting, Hulk Hogan beating on those guys, and the angle that we had there with Claire Lynch, I'm half and half with the way the Claire Lynch thing played out. I was happy that it was wrapped up, but at the same time, I didn't like the fact that TNA didn't keep the shit real when it came down to what really had went down with the Claire Lynch storyline angle. I'd have to say this week was definitely, out of 10, I'd have to give this episode a modest 7.5. It should do pretty good in the ratings. Speaking of which, we definitely want to let you guys know how last week's TNA Impact Wrestling had their ratings-wise, as ratings for the August 16th episode managed to score a 1.06 rating with 1.4 million viewers. Now, that's up from last week's episode, which had aired on August 9th, so the week prior to August 16th. August 9th episode that has scored a 0.89 rating with 1.09 million viewers, and it should be pointed out that 0.89 rating came in as TNA's second worst rating of this calendar year. So it looks like they're going back up to a good start. Very curious to see how this episode does. Hopefully we'll have the ratings available for that as it becomes available. Of course, you'll always be able to know what's happening with the latest and Impact ratings just by checking out our website at infinityOneProductions.com, and you can also check it out on our Facebook page at Infinity One Productions. All right, so this is what we're going to do right now. We're going to go on ahead. We're going to take a brief commercial break. Then when we come right back, I'm definitely going to share with you the real reason why Claire Lynch no longer has anything to do with TNA, and also let you guys know how I feel TNA missed a golden opportunity here to confront the events that had came out of this whole Claire Lynch angle. So you definitely want to check that out. And we'll also get you caught up on the very latest on what's been happening in TNA Wrestling-related news. So show is still just getting started here. Oh, and of course, we're going to talk to you guys, the Impact Wrestling fans, when we take your phone calls. Very important part about this show. That's why we do this every single week. We love that fan interaction. So we're going to be coming right back in about less than 3 minutes, folks. So hang tight. You're listening to Impact Showdown Radio on August 23rd, 2012. We'll be coming right back, folks. Do hang tight.
Tired of those wrestling websites that give you redirects, spyware, weird pop-ups? How about those misleading headlines? Instead of hitting the keyboard in frustration, why not visit InfinityOneProductions.com? Infinity One is the source for wrestling-related news and so much more without all the hassle. Visit InfinityOneProductions.com. Your keyboard will thank you.
Hey guys, Lee Sanders here with the RCWR Show, and I'd like to take this time out to tell you about one or two quick apps that I think you should check out when you get a free moment. First app I'd like to recommend to you is the app from Stitcher. Now, Stitcher allows you to be able to play all our episodes of the RCWR Show and Impact Showdown on your portable devices, such as an Android phone, Kindle Fire, iPad, you name it, it'll be able to play it. So definitely highly recommend that you check that out. It's available for free in the App Store. Stitcher, new and smart way to play radio. Also, another cool app that I'd like to recommend to you all is a new app that came out not too long ago from Apple. That's right, Apple has recently come out with a free podcast app. Now, this app is really cool, folks, because after we are done doing our shows, all you have to do is just subscribe to our episodes. And you can do this by downloading this new free podcast app. All you have to do, visit the App Store on your iPhone or iPad and just search podcast. Once the app is downloaded, you can then type in the name of our shows, the RCWR Show and Impact Showdown, and you'll be able to subscribe. It's that easy. So you have two cool free apps that you can check out and take all our episodes with you on the go. So get to it already.
All right, and we're back. This is the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders, as always, and you're listening to Impact Showdown Radio, live on blogtalkradio.com and at our sister website at InfinityOneProductions.com. Also heard live on Stitcher. If you don't know about Stitcher, make sure you check out that Stitcher app. It's free. You can't beat free, F-R-E-E. Put an exclamation point on that, free. So, before we go diving into that whole Claire Lynch stuff and TNA Wrestling-related news, we definitely want to take this time out to give you guys a heads up in case you don't know. Guess what? The long-anticipated return of the RCWR Show Weekend Report returns this Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to get you guys caught up in a nutshell on what all you missed on WWE Raw, SmackDown, TNA Impact. We're going to cover it all. And the best part, only on our weekend edition, you're going to be able to catch up and hear exclusively on there now latest SmackDown results. Now, this show is more different than what we do with Impact Showdown Radio on Thursday nights, the RCWR Show on Tuesday nights, as we go more in depth about key storylines that have been playing out on each of those respected shows. And we also take a look at some exclusive stuff, So take this Saturday, for instance. We're going to be tackling Brock Lesnar. We're going to take a serious look at people he should be working with leading up into WrestleMania. As so far, and I think a lot of fans can appreciate this, it just really has been coming off as if Brock Lesnar has just been wanting to work those big main pay-per-view event type of deals. Doesn't really seem like he wants to work with new wrestlers. Let's keep in mind who he's been working with so far since he's been back. He's just been working with John Cena. He's just been working with Triple H, two guys of which were around during his initial run in the WWE. This really is not exactly helping the newer talent. So we're definitely going to take an in-depth look. And I'm going to sit up and I'm going to give you some surprising names and explain the reasons why I feel Brock Lesnar should be working with these individuals. It's definitely going to be a great piece. You all will appreciate it. We're also going to have the latest review of Fozzie's new album, Sin and Bones. You definitely want to check that out. It is quickly being dubbed as Fozzie's greatest album to date. You're definitely going to love to hear what I have to say with regards to this album and whether or not it actually meets those words. So you definitely want to check that out. We'll also have a review for a new video game that just came out in the Xbox 360 PlayStation marketplaces, The Expendables 2. So you definitely want to check that out. If you're not really familiar with that game, you're a little bit on the fence, especially when you see the price tag for that game. We definitely have an honest review. We played it. We'll definitely share our reviews for that game. All this, and we'll be covering the latest in entertainment news and so much more, is the return of the RCWR Show Weekend Report coming at you live this Saturday at 2 p.m. So do join us for that. Also, very quickly, we're not even done with the month of August, and we surpassed our previous month's listens and downloads. And once again, you, the listeners, you are letting your voices be heard when you are checking out our shows, however you check them out, iTunes, Zune Marketplaces, Stitcher, YouTube, Live Browser. We appreciate the love. We appreciate it so much that, remember what I said earlier this week, we will be doing another Monday Night Rare appearance immediately after in the latest episode of WWE Raw. We haven't quite worked out the details yet on when we're going to be doing that, but what I can tell you for certainty is there's a certain pay-per-view that is going to be coming up, and the RCWR Post Show will be covering it, and I want you to bookmark this and make sure that you guys join us, because it's going to be the WWE Night of Champions that's going to be coming up September 16th. That's Sunday, September 16th. And the RCWR Pro Show is not only going to be covering that pay-per-view, but as a special way of thanking you, the audience, we're going to try to do our best to give away some really cool prizes. So make sure you join us for the post show September 16th, as we're just going to randomly select some fans. We're not going to do any trivia questions this time around. This time around, we're just going to take some random callers, and we are just going to offer them some really cool prizes. So you definitely want to tune in for that. It's our way of saying thank you to our loyal listeners for checking it out. Now, you're automatically disqualified if you have your own show, so you might as well save your hassle right now trying to participate in this. This is exclusively for our listeners and listeners only. Again, our way of saying thank you for the support. So let's tackle what all has been happening with this whole Claire Lynch deal in a nutshell without dragging it out, beating it like a damn horse. So Claire Lynch character, real name, Julia Riley, she basically had got very upset at the fact that her personal life was starting to be unraveled in social media. So far, what we know about her is that she has done voiceover work. She has done infomercials for kitchenware, knives, some silly crap like that. She used to have her own actual website in her own name. She used to have her own YouTube channel. But once word had spread of these, she sat up and she quickly tried to remove all of them, trying to make it as if there is no traces of her on the internet. Well, to make matters worse, a TNA fan who was at the Orlando studio grounds a couple of weeks back, he thought he recognized her, took a picture of her, and the damn thing has just been spreading like wildfire on social media. As it turns out, on the Orlando studios grounds, she works as Olive Oil from the little cartoon, the Popeye series. So you combine all this with the little bit of stuff that we do know about her. And remember, we were one of the first websites, first radio shows to let you guys know the real identity of this woman behind the Claire Lynch character, as we didn't take all the credit. We did give the nod to this Facebook page that was dedicated to Claire Lynch, and whoever had created that fan page, despite it being under the radar, they had came across some very interesting pieces of her. So while working with them, reporting what they were able to find out, and we hyped it up on our website and we hyped it up on our radio show, it played its part in spreading like wildfire. And so here we have all this information that we know about Julia Riley, and she just got so offended at this that she just quit the TNA Wrestling promotion. She had already built a reputation for kind of considering that wrestling was beneath her, and she just felt that TNA Wrestling did not do a proper job of keeping her personal life, what she does on the side, as private as possible. Now, you know what? This woman claims that she has been an actor for 15 years or whatever like that. Honey, let me tell you something. If you were really an actor, okay, you would not be bothered at all this information that has been coming out about you, not unless you've done something very, very bad and you don't want people to know about it. Okay, welcome to the world of what it's like to be a professional wrestler. As many wrestlers, they unfortunately do not have a private life. We see so many wrestlers that sit up there on the road for however many days out of a year. They are always bombarded by fans at the airports. They're bombarded by fans at hotels, even when they're trying to go out and get something to eat, or maybe when they're working out at a gym. They are just always being hit up by fans. They are not even safe on social media. It's getting to the point right now where somebody could be on their Twitter account and they could say the wrong thing but be saying it on their personal time. Well, guess what? There is no such thing as personal time when you're a professional wrestler, because you're always in the spotlight. You're always on the company's time. Pretty much the only privacy that you will have is in your own hotel room or when you're behind closed doors of your own home. That is pretty much the only true piece of mind that these wrestlers have. And so for this Julia Riley chick to be all hot-headed with her information being revealed, you know, honey, if you're not going to be able to handle the pressure now, I mean, how are you going to make it when it comes to possibly landing a role on CSI, Law and Order, or daytime soap? You know what I'm saying? So, and another brainstorm here that had me thinking when I heard this storyline break out is, wait a minute, so you're good enough to take TNA Wrestling's money, but as far as what we get to know about you, we don't really get to know anything. I just think that's kind of a big crock of bull, and, you know, it's one of those things that just jump out at me as, you know, you can't really have it both ways. And TNA Wrestling, I'm quite sure they never made a promise to her that her personal life was going to be kept confidential. So, you know, in my mind, I'm really glad that this storyline had ended up being just wiped off the boards as of tonight's episode of Open Fight Night, because, you know, and TNA Wrestling, I mean, don't even get me started on them. They had an opportunity here to really just let loose. This should have been a moment where they should have sat up and said, you know what, we apologize to you, the TNA fans, and the person that should have said this, it should have been Dixie Carter, because it would have meant that much more. Whether we like her or not, Dixie Carter, she has some type of a connection with the fans to the point where, depending on what she says, they respect what she says. I think this could have been a moment right here that could have really made her look good. She could have came out and she could have said straight up, we apologize to you guys for having to deal with this Claire Lynch storyline that's been happening within recent weeks. We thought it was very entertaining. We know that some of you guys, you were a little bit disgusted with this storyline, but we really felt passionate about the direction that this angle was going, and we just wanted to keep taking it to where we felt it could potentially go if handled right. And this actress, she just quit on us, and, you know, we apologize humbly for that, but we also want to let you guys know that, you know, going forward, we're going to do our best to make sure that the talents that we work for, they're 100% committed to TNA. They're 100% committed to working with us and growing with us. We definitely want people who we hope can be part of the family on a long-term basis, but we know things happen. This really could have been a great opportunity for Dixie Carter to really come away looking very classy and just being straight up honest about this damn storyline and what really happened behind the scenes, as nothing devastating occurred. It's just straight up, hey, this is what happened. Hey, we're sorry. You know, you guys tried to let us know you didn't like it, but we kept going the way that we were going, and it kind of blew up in our face. You know, it is what it is. You know, hopefully TNA Wrestling, they take this page and they note it, they store it away somewhere safe, and they keep a mental note of what happened here. As from here on out, they need to do their best to make sure that from here on out, anybody that they get, and this is a Crash 101 course right here, okay? You learn this from day one. From here on out, they need to make sure that any piece of talent that they end up working with does not work on the frickin' Orlando studio grounds, okay? That's basically like sitting up saying, I'm going to hire this pizza guy from Domino's to go work at Pizza Hut, and it's the frickin' Pizza Hut that's just right across the street from the Domino's. I mean, you want to talk about learning the trades of the secret right there. You know, that's not really going to work out too well. So TNA Wrestling, I can understand they were trying to be a little bit cheap. They were trying to save a little money, and this is why they went the direction that they went. But poor selection right here, as they definitely, obviously should have went with somebody else different. This goes back to what I had said a couple of weeks ago on Impact Showdown Radio, and I said it as clear as day, and I know you guys will remember this when I get ready to say it, which is TNA Wrestling, they should have let go of this Julia Riley person. They should have kept the Claire Lynch character off of TV long enough to the point that fans forget how she looked, and that way they can sit up and they can get somebody that actually knows how to act. And, you know, I think this Julia O'Reilly character also didn't appreciate the negativity that she was receiving for her portrayal of this character. Now, any actor, anybody in any type of a profession that wants to entertain people, entertain an audience, they will be very receptive to criticism because they know it's the only way that they will know how to improve themselves, improve their product. So they're going to be open to hearing constructive criticism. Here was a case where this actress, week after week after week after week after week, she hits us up with the same bullshit, poor acting, lame-ass facial expressions, okay, that, honestly, we hear some people sit up and say daytime soaps is bad, and we have people that will frown upon wrestling and say it's a big soap opera. Well, I will point out to you, I've actually had a few friends that have had the pleasure of working on a few soap operas. I have them tell you that, you know, soap operas, you know, it's completely freaking different. The actors, the actresses on there, they are rehearsing their scripts. They are getting their lines down. They are really trying to capture that emotion. They are really trying to make sure they bring their freaking A game. If they can't bring their A game, it just ain't going to make it on TV. That's pretty much how it goes. You will be recast for somebody that can do the job better. And this was definitely a case where this woman, she should have been recast. She should have been given the pink slip. The Claire Lynch character should have been recasted. So TNA Wrestling, I feel bad that this kind of blew up in their face. I feel bad, but I don't feel sorry for them because in the end they got exactly what was coming to them. So hopefully going forward they will definitely make a better effort to play it more smartly, but most importantly, listen to the TNA Wrestling fans. After all, they are the consumers. They are the ones that are continuing to watch the product week after week. Take note of what they're saying when they are letting their voices be heard in their discuss for a particular story angle, because let's be honest, nobody wants to sit up and deal with story angles that are happening from Jerry Springer episodes from 15, 20-plus years ago. In newsflash, in case you guys didn't know, Jerry Springer in the year 2012 is still pumping out new episodes of the Jerry Springer Show. So, you know, if we want to see crap like that, we know where we want to go. We're watching Impact Wrestling to see fights, to see wrestling. So let's get it on. So that's just all I had to say about that. I just thought I would just mention that in a nutshell. Hopefully you guys appreciate what I had to say right there with regards to that. And in other TNA wrestling-related news, it looks as if reports are coming in that TNA star Alex Shelley has indeed been in talks with the WWE. Now, it's being reported that sometime last week that Alex Shelley has not signed a contract with WWE, although reports had claimed that he did. That's not the case right now. It looks as if they are very close to some type of a deal, though, as it's inevitable. It's going to happen. Meantime, Alex Shelley is working down in New Japan as he's getting ready to go on tour starting in September. And also, it's being reported that WWE wrestler and former TNA star Christian Cage will be making another return to TNA for the Bound for Glory pay-per-view to induct Sting into the TNA Hall of Fame. Now, this would be revealed to be a two-part deal, as this appearance will complete an agreement between TNA and WWE to basically allow Flair to appear at the WWE Hall of Fame. Now, initially, there was a push to bring Ric Flair in to induct his longtime friend Sting into the TNA Hall of Fame, but the idea was quickly nixed shortly after his release from the company. Now, on a Ric Flair side note, he has a non-compete clause with TNA, which will end on September 6th, as this non-compete clause lasted for 120 days. So despite that and the lawsuit that's currently going on between TNA Wrestling and WWE, don't expect Ric Flair to immediately pop up after September 6th. Not with this lawsuit still going on. WWE, they want to make sure that without a doubt they are not going to look as if they got their hands in the cookie jar here. So we'll definitely be staying on top of this as more information becomes available for you guys. and we'll make sure we get it out to you. Also, definitely got to mention this real quick. We've been getting a lot of buzz about this, and we just thought we would do our part and try to help clear the rumors. We had Kurt Angle, who had sat up and revealed that a new TNA video game was in the works, and it had a lot of people wondering if this was actually going to be happening, if so, when. Well, Jeremy Borash, and really, when you think of trying to find out the truth, you definitely want to go to Jeremy Borash, who, say what you want, him, SoCal Value, you got to admit, they're definitely very friendly. They're very interactive with people. And if there's ever a case of that, you can definitely see it weekly when they do the Backstage Pass. They love talking with the people in the chat rooms. Well, a Twitter user had asked Jeremy Borash if TNA was going to be getting a new video game, if something was in the works. And Borash responded with the following statement by basically letting them know that there is another TNA video game for iPhone and iPads that's in the works. Now, quote unquote, always in the works, always being worked on. There's an iPad game, new iPad game that's being worked on. A lot of stuff being bannered about. Obviously, that is something that is in the works. Even if we were to announce it now, the turnaround time on the game is a long time, so I don't think you will see anything in the next couple of months at least. So that just clears all that up right there. Other than that, it's been pretty much a relatively quiet wrestling week for TNA, but that's your latest scoop right now. Let's go on ahead and let's open up the phone lines. We got about 5 minutes left of showtime. Kick back, smile, and dial. Feel free to chime in your thoughts. Hit us up at 646-478-3525. Once again, that's 646-478-3525. As always, let's go out to the Michigan area to our good friend Dave, who's on the line right now. Dave, you're live, my friend.
Hey, to touch on the Christian thing, which I think that is interesting to have him come back again. Maybe that's why he's been getting buried too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because he's been losing like crazy. He's not even on TV. I don't know what about this week, but I mean, it's just wow. I mean, and Alex Shelley going to WWE, I kind of think that's a mistake because look at R-Truth when he went to the WWE. How long did it take him before he even became anywhat relevant? What, almost 10 years before they even did anything with him?
Mm-hmm.
And then when Christian first came back, he got buried on the ECW show for like 2 years.
Yeah.
So you'll never see Alex Shelley unless he goes to do the let's say do an NXT thing with him or something.
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of a little bit beneath him, though, you know, because if I'm not mistaken, I think he is in his early 30s. I think he's 31, 32. I hope they don't make him go through that because that would just be bad. Instead, just if it was me, I'd put him on the SmackDown roster.
Yeah, but what can they really do? Unless they plan on revamping that cruiserweight division,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what could they really do with him? They don't use half the guys they got now, and they want to bring more guys in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just weird to me.
Yeah.
I mean, why would Shelley even sign? But I don't know.
Well, if they're saying it's inevitable, so just hang in there. There's no contract. And folks listening, I don't want y'all being confused. He hasn't signed. It's just saying that it appears now that it could be inevitable that he signs with WWE.
Yeah, well, if he does, I mean, good for him. He'll be actually on a really big stage than what he has been. I mean, and this week, tonight, like you said, the Impact Zone was awesome. It was better than SummerSlam and Raw this week.
Yeah.
The crowd. I mean, and that Bully Ray and Anderson match surprised the heck out of me.
Yeah, it was a damn good
like,
match.
Oh, really? I know. I was shocked. I mean, it was a really good match. Good story and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of with you on the Chris Louie, whatever his name is. Mm-hmm. I was watching him, and I was like, that dude couldn't talk, or I was like, he needs to do some conditioning or something. I mean, that dude couldn't even, he was so out of breath, I thought he was going to pass out right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of sad because his story was actually, it was a really good story with that little piece they did of him.
Yeah,
and it's really sad I had to go that way. It was a really good piece there. I was like, hey, this guy might do something. And then, like, after he was, like, I was thinking, like you said, he was really stiff.
Yeah, it was definitely bad. What did you think about the whole conclusion of Claire Lynch and what had happened there with what was it? Yeah, just the Claire Lynch thing. What'd you make of that and the whole aces and eights?
Claire Lynch, I mean, we were just glad that thing is. They could honestly not even said anything more about it, and everyone would have been fine with that. No one would have been complaining like, "Where's this Claire Lynch thing going to happen?" I mean, they've got so many storylines before too, without even mentioning them again.
Mhm.
They could have just done that, and no one even cared. But
Yeah.
to hire someone in your backyard, I mean, that's a little stupid if you ask me.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if she was in breach of contract by quitting like that or what, so that might be another lawsuit.
Mhm.
Now, to me, the TNA swerved everybody with the whole Hogan thing. You thought Hogan was going to be there. I don't honestly think he was even there. I think it was just video you've seen of backstage segments shot before just thrown in there.
Mhm.
And, like, you thinking that Hogan's going to be there, he was getting the biggest pop of the night, and he wasn't even there.
I know, right?
And I was like, dang. I mean, that really, everyone kept thinking, like, oh, you're going to see Hogan tonight. And my brother even texted me, he said, why is Hogan barking? I was like, oh, no. I mean, it was just, and that thing was horrible. Like, you would not, what is it, the Three Stooges?
Yeah.
I mean, one swing and all knocked out cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was horrible. And they could have ended it a lot differently.
Mm.
What I would have liked to see them end it, instead of doing it, everyone getting separated like that, have them all coming in, and then have Austin Aries stuck in the ring while everyone else is getting jumped outside the ring, and just have him get his arm broke or whatever they did.
Yeah.
But if I had an idea who's in it, which I really don't even care, I'm just enjoying. And what TNA did and what Raw did this week, too, I think, is they're just there to take us away from reality. You know, both shows were entertaining tonight. I mean, some parts we might not have liked, but it was entertaining nonetheless.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all we want to see. Like, tonight we got some good wrestling. I think this 2 hours of Impact was actually better than Raw, honestly.
Mhm. And folks listening right now, we're actually going to be going into overtime. For those of you that want to check it out on the downloads, give us about 15 minutes, and you'll be able to hear the rest of tonight's show. But we're getting ready to go into overtime right now in 10 seconds, so we're going to go off the air, but the conversation is still going to be continuing. So, again, check it out at the 45-minute mark. The episode will be available for download. See you guys this weekend for the RCWR Weekend Report. And now let's go into overtime. Go ahead, Dave, continue.
Okay. I got an idea. You don't got to take it or nothing, but how about you guys do your weekend shows? Like, how about doing like a superstar from TNA and W, like a superstar profile?
Was thinking about that. That would be a really nice thing to do. We do have something in the works. I was thinking about maybe pulling something out of wrestling history books, since we come on every Saturday, be like, let's see what happened today, you know, on this day of Saturday in wrestling history. And, you know, we're thinking about doing something like that. I know we got something in the works.
Yeah, and I can't wait for that Night of Champions poster. That sounds interesting. I'll definitely be calling in that night.
Yeah, we think it's time, man. I mean, you know, listeners like yourself, there's another one, Philip. We got a lot of guys that, you know, always, you know, check out the show, as well as other loyal listeners that check out the show. And, you know, the show's just been having a fantastic ride the past couple of months, strongest month yet. And it's like, yeah, we definitely want to throw a little something special for our listeners and let them know we appreciate them always checking out the show. So, yeah, that's going to be a really cool post-show.
Yeah, if you haven't checked out that Expendables movie, you should go check that out.
When's it coming out? Is it already out?
Yeah, it's already out. It's really funny, too.
I definitely plan on seeing it. Have you played the video game yet?
No, I haven't even heard about the video game until tonight.
Well, you're definitely going to like the review. It's definitely, the game's pretty good.
I'm really looking forward to the review of the Fozzy CD, because I'm tempted to see if I'll go checking that out, too. So We definitely check you guys out this weekend.
Oh, yeah, definitely check it out. Before I let you go, you definitely got to tell me, what did you make of this whole, let me see, 'cause I was trying to pick your brain on something. I know we talked about aces and eights. What was your take on that whole Miss Tessmacher Tara thing?
I didn't really understand it. I mean, it was confusing. Like,
that's what a lot of people were saying. Yeah.
Why wouldn't Tara be the one calling Brooke out, saying, "Okay, I want a title shot," or "I want a shot at you"? It was like reverse. It was like the roles should have been Tara calling her out.
Yeah.
And I don't mind Tara won the match, but because it obviously seems like set up a match at No Surrender or something.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I don't mind it, but it was just odd. I mean, and Brooke, I wish she'd just stop talking. I mean, she is horrible.
Yeah.
And why would she bury herself like that on a backstage backstage post, or whatever it was called, pass? She's just buried. I've never seen anyone bury themselves.
I mean, it was nice words, what she had said in that backstage pass. Yeah, but her delivery was a little bit off. You know, you could definitely feel what she was saying. I mean, I get that image. Okay, you're now questioning whether or not, you know, you should even be holding the title. You're questioning your legitimacy as a champion. I get that. I'm all for that. You know, but it did kind of come off a little bit weak. You know, it just kept dragging out because she even started to sound a little redundant, and she was only talking to SoCal Val for like about 3 minutes, and she just kept saying the same thing over and over, and it was kind of like, okay, we get it.
And you want to talk about dropping titles? I mean, there's a few they should drop. I mean, just drop the TV title. Just drop those knockout tag titles. Don't even mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because that TV title's become, like, the biggest joke. And what's up with Austin Aries? I mean, I know he got his arm broke tonight, but when's the last time he actually had a main event match on Impact since he's been the champ?
Well, I thought it was to close out the show or just wrestling, period.
Yeah, I mean, just to have I know he had a tag match with King Kings, the last one I can remember, and that was Open Up Impact. That tag match was, I remember that, but that was almost right before their match, a week or two before.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
he hasn't done anything since the pay-per-view. Yeah. He hasn't done anything since Hardcore Justice. I
don't understand what's going on with that. I mean, it's like, I like Austin Aries. I don't want to say he's not believable as world champion, but when Bobby Roode was champion, he was wrestling either in the main event or wrestling on the show. He was coming out at the beginning of the show and all that.
Every week.
More like a world champion.
Yeah, every week.
Austin Aries does. Yeah, every week, yeah. I don't understand that too much. I mean, it's like they can't really use him, or he's not really, I don't know. I mean, and I was keeping an eye on the YouTube thing tonight.
Mm-hmm.
They were really, I've seen is like 407 views on their YouTube.
It's getting up there. Yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah, so I won't be surprised they have another good week this week.
It's come a long way, man, because they used to average like about 100.
100, if that. Yeah, I seen that.
200. It's catching on. I think before the end of this year, they should be creeping at least 800.
Yeah, that'd be good for them. I mean,
yeah.
As long as they keep live, I think that'd be all right. But
now you know what? There was one piece of news that we didn't cover on tonight's show, so it's good that we're now in the overtime, and that's Brooke Hogan. Now I don't know if you had heard about this, Dave, but Brooke Hogan had sat up, and it looks like TNA Creative is thinking about possibly having Brooke Hogan wrestle at the Bound for Glory pay-per-view against Madison Rayne. What are your thoughts about that?
I heard about that. Yes, I heard. I don't know. I mean, her dad couldn't really wrestle. Well, I guess that's not true, but what I've seen of him in the take your vitamins, say your prayers days, he couldn't really wrestle. And, I mean, was she going to be like that? Is it going to be a pillow fight match, evening gown, something like that? Fine, but I don't want to see no, like, wrestling match. They can be on, like, a pre-show or something.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I just don't want to see her in the ring, really. Because I remember when she first came out about it, they were talking about her coming to TNA. I said, what'd you get in the ring? I said, well, no, I'm just there to basically run the knockouts. And now it's like she's a couple months in and she's only going to start wrestling. Well, it's kind of horrible. I don't want to see that. I do not want to see Brooke Hogan in the wrestling ring.
let's go ahead and end it right there, Dave, because I'm pretty sure with your sentiments right there, I think all TNA Wrestling fans would definitely agree with you right there that they do not want to see Brooke Hogan wrestling. Just, God, I'm still having flashbacks to her flip-flopping to the ring a couple of weeks ago. I mean, that was almost botchamania right there. Freaking hilarious. Well, folks, we went into a little bit of overtime, but it's all good. That's how it happens sometimes. So for those of you that's listening right now and you happen to call into the show, mad bonus for you because you guys got to check out some bonus content of stuff that, didn't get covered. Not only that, but I get to say shit, fuck, Scooby-Doo because we're now off the air. So just a recap coming up this weekend on the RCWR Show Weekend Report. Like I said in our last segment there before we went off the air, we're definitely going to be taking a more in-depth look with Brock Lesnar as the question comes into mind, hey, if done right, should Brock Lesnar be working with younger talent to really help elevate them, get them that new notoriety that they deserve, those mid-card guys that just need that right type of program or need to work that right type of wrestler to help push them to that next status. You definitely are going to enjoy that piece as I took the time out to look at the entire roster, and I cherry-picked certain guys who I feel would get a great rub-off from Brock Lesnar. As think about how he's looking right now, folks. So far, since Brock Lesnar has been back, and he's been back for what? Almost maybe 6 months, and he's only wrestled 2 matches. And it's been with John Cena, Triple H, 2 guys of which he had the fortunate of running with in the WWE during his first go-round with the company. So far, him being in the WWE has not benefited the younger talent. Well, I'm definitely going to tackle that and pick out some names of people who should be working with Lesnar right about now as it'll build up to his match at WrestleMania. We'll also give you guys the latest review of the new Fozzy album, get you guys caught up on video game news, where we'll get you guys a review of the new Expendables 2 video game that had recently came out in the PlayStation, Xbox Live marketplaces. You definitely want to check that out. We'll be covering all that, and we'll be covering the latest in music, entertainment news. You know how we do it on the RCWR Show Weekend Report, so you'll be able to catch that this Saturday afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern. On behalf of everybody that have participated in the show tonight, if you checked it out in the chat room or you called into the show, we definitely appreciate the love and support. Dave, as always, thank you for calling. Everybody else that usually calls into the show, whether it's to talk live or you're just kicking back just to call in and listen to the show, we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much. Do hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. We will see you this Saturday afternoon. Until I hear from you guys this Saturday, you all be safe and you all be kind to one another. Take care, folks. See you this Saturday. Take care.